Welcome to a new season of College Town Talk. I'm Jonathan Frank.
And I'm Shan Stout.
Shan, today's show feels like the first day of school because not only is it the start of season 3 of our podcast, but it's also our first day recording in person at Stonecom Radio right here in Cookeville.
I can't believe it. It does feel that way. We are so thankful to Larry Stone, Marsha Lee Lawrence, and the whole Stonecom family because not only are they giving us the use of their studio, but they're also carrying our podcast on the air as well. So in addition to listening to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, or wherever you get your podcast, you can also hear us locally every Sunday at 2 p.m. on News Talk 94.1.
Shan, this is exciting, but it's also a lot of pressure. I feel like we've really got to bring the A-list guests now.
Well, Jonathan, you're in luck today because we are talking to Tennessee Tech alumnus and award-winning wood sculptor, Brad Sales. Now, Brad is a 1994 Tech graduate who has been a full-time artist for the last 30 years. So everyone has seen his work in some way or another. His work has drawn national acclaim, including being displayed in the Smithsonian and New York City's Museum of Arts and Design. And if that's not amazing enough, you can also find his art right here in Tennessee's College Town, including in Tennessee Tech's STEM Center at Cookeville Regional Medical Center and his beloved bicycle art installation known as Spokes in Cookeville's WestSide. He is also the owner of Bark Studio right here in Cookeville, Tennessee. But before he did any of that, he was a Tennessee Tech student finding his way at the Appalachian Center for Craft and studying, get this, psychology.
Listen, Brad has been high atop our guest wish list for a long time, and the timing couldn't be better because he also created the wooden statuette that the university just presented to Barry Wilmore, the now world-famous astronaut and Tennessee Tech alumnus who just received our Order of the Eagle Award. So we're going to ask Brad all about that. And he was recently profiled by our friends over at Cookeville Lifestyle Magazine and their art edition, which was such deserved recognition because you really can't talk about art in Cookeville without talking about Brad Sales. And he's right here in the studio with us, so I guess we can stop talking about him in the third person. Brad, welcome to College Town Talk.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, Brad, we have got a lot we want to ask you about, but let's wind back the clock since this is a Tennessee Tech podcast after all, and talk about your college days. I know that art was a big part of your college experience. I read that you spent time at the Craft Center honing your skills, but like Shan said, you were actually a psychology major. So walk us through all of that. Yeah. And tell us how maybe your how, if at all, your background in psychology shapes your approach to art.
Well, you need to understand people to be in the art world. So yeah, it does come in handy. As a student at Tech, I started out as a freshman, and I considered pursuing my father's career as a pharmacist. But after a semester or two of chemistry, I decided maybe that wasn't for me.
Valid.
So yeah, I was also taking classes out at the Craft Center at the time. And then I liked to study. You know, I had several minors. And had a minor in geology, and yeah, it took me 6 years to accomplish all this. But I was pretty well-rounded in the sciences, biology, and then had the psychology degree, and then considered going to grad school. And I thought, I'm young, and I really wanted to be an artist, and I just started a little studio, and I said I'll give myself a little time, and we'll see if we can make this work. And at that time, there was a really good outdoor kind of show circuit that I was able to support myself, and 30 years later, I'm still at it. So
you think you'll keep going?
Yeah, I might make it. I don't know.
Now, Brad, anyone who's spent time in Cookeville knows how talented you are. and how much you've contributed to the arts culture in our community. And I've enjoyed watching your career over time. I have seen, I think I understand the psychology major portion of you because your art has a lot of depth to it. You can see that it is very thoughtful and it tells more than one story. But what about the medium of wood? You know, you went to the Appalachian Center for Craft, and there are a lot of different things that they offer there, you know, from glass and paper and all the different aesthetics. So what about wood resonated with you?
Well, you mentioned storytelling, and I mean, nothing tells a story like a piece of wood. I mean, I can look at a piece of wood, and you know, there's just so much information there in those growth rings and how it grows, and I mean, it tells its trauma. I can tell when woodpeckers have been in there, insects. I mean, there's just all this input, and that kind of shapes my art. So I'm ideally I'm telling my story, and I'm also telling the tree story.
I've heard other artists say that the wood literally speaks to you. Is that how you feel about it?
Well, yes. I mean, but yeah.
It's the psychology.
I'm not hearing voices.
You're a wood therapist now.
But I mean, it does, in a sense, yes, it speaks to me. Yeah.
Well, something that I think spoke to a lot of people recently was, we had our Board of Trustees meeting at Tennessee Tech back in June, and it was really exciting. Barry Wilmore, our alumnus and trustee, was honored with the Order of the Eagle Award. It's Tennessee Tech's highest honor. And there is a wooden base to that award that you created. And President Oldham brought you up there at the meeting. And it was a really cool moment at the Board of Trustees meeting, very emotional. And I think it speaks to really how sought after you are in this community because, like I said, it's Tennessee Tech's highest honor. It has been given out once before in the university's 110-year history. And when it came time to get that award made, you were the university's first call. So tell us about what that creative process was like. How did they reach out to you? Was it a phone call, an email from the president? How did that all come about?
It was a phone call. I'm trying to think of the young lady's name, and it's escaping me. But yeah, she works there in the president's office. It'll come to me in a minute. But she called me, and yeah, I'd done the first one that went to the Dairy Berries, and I'd used a piece of oak, that I'd collected from the campus. But yeah, I get calls, when trees come down from Tech and pretty much, anybody else, I get a lot of tree calls. But for Barry's piece, I had collected, and this was, I don't know, maybe 8 years ago when they were doing a lot of the landscaping, and they took down some of the old super mature trees around the men's dorms, and I took down a holly tree, or I got sections from it. I didn't actually take it down, and decided that would be a good choice because it's very white wood, and I left the moon kind of white, but ended up putting a lot of purple and gold on it, and putting a little space shuttle on it, and I put Barry was a football player at Tennessee Tech, so I put a space helmet and a football helmet, a TTU football helmet on it, and just had a little fun with it. There was a 3-dimensional scan of the original eagle that was on Dairyberry Hall. And on the first one, they made a 3D scan, and, that eagle wasn't really ever meant to be seen from the backside. Just being on a sculpture, it kind of changed things. So, we had to go in there and modify the bird a little bit. But it looks real nice now,
Well, that would make us talk about some small scale art projects, but you also do large scale pieces. And one of my favorite things I get to see every day is on the WestSide, and it is the bicycle art sculpture called Spokes. Now, tell us about your inspiration behind that. And did you ever dream it would be, I mean, it is photographed. It's become the most popular selfie spot in all of Putnam County.
I love that.
And people just love it. And at nighttime, for those of you listening that have not been on the west side at night and seen that piece lit up, it is gorgeous.
Yeah, that was a really fun project. I've loved bicycles my whole life. I started off, I was 6 years old and I was learning to ride my bike and went down this big hill and just got so scared. It was actually my brother's bike, so it was a little too big for me. And I was so scared, I just kind of froze on the bike, went across Walnut Avenue. I was on Paris Avenue and crashed into the ditch and broke my arm. I've had some horrendous bike wrecks, but I still love the bikes. And then I used to race the BMX bikes there at Jerry Whitson, and yeah, that was just a load of fun. But yeah, I did that project with Art Round Tennessee. We designed it out. Marilee Hall was a big part of that at the time, and kind of suggested things to do for various artists. Abe Pardee did these really cool shoes that are over the sculpture, and they look just like a pair of old Converse Chuck
Taylors. It's amazing.
Taylors,
it's
yes.
amazing.
But yeah, and then I like the way that sculpture is patina, but over time, and collecting the bikes was a really fun part of that project. But it took a community to make that happen, and I hope to do it again.
Well,
someday.
You knocked it out of the park. It is the highlight of the West Side and really brings some art and culture to the whole area. So we're so grateful to you for it.
No, it's true. I mean, when I think about the kind of the focal points of Cookeville, it's the Cream City sign, it's the Dairyberry cupola, and it's the bicycle arch. It's spokes. I mean, it's so iconic.
Well, I'm honored to be in that realm there with the Cream City sign, and yeah, it's the train behind it. It just really worked out perfectly.
Well, I want to ask you, as we said in the introduction, you've been a working artist for 30 years now, such a milestone. All these accomplishments, work displayed in the Smithsonian in New York City, these large-scale public art installations. When did you realize, hey, I've made it. I'm doing this? Was it the first public art installation? Was it when you got the call from the Smithsonian? Was there a moment when you realized you'd kind of hit it big as a working artist?
Well, I almost hate to tell this story because I usually get choked up when I tell it, but several years ago, it's probably been a decade ago, I was out in Jackson Hole. I'm sorry, that was later. I was out in Cody, Wyoming, doing a Western art design show. And Sam Maloof, who's one of my woodworking heroes, was a presenter there. And I won the award for best wood at that show. And it was super special to me because he was such a hero to me. He was a West Coast artist that, was one of America's most revered furniture makers. And I had the pleasure to meet him a couple times. When I was younger, I'd gone to one of his chair demos in Atlanta, and then one time in Chicago, I was presenting with a gallery from Nashville, and he was presenting his work with a gallery from Los Angeles, which I later was represented by too. I had this great picture of me and my wife and my first daughter, Veda, with Sam at that show in Chicago. Well, when I showed up for the show, I had this piece that was made out of cherry. It was really curly, and it kind of made this V shape. So I named it Veda's Karma, and that was the piece that won the award. That Sam was the judge.
Wow.
And I later called Sam and sent him a picture of us together. 'Cause, I mean, he meets people all day long. He didn't really know who I was then. And but yeah, he called me back, and I mean, just to be recognized by him was a pretty big deal to me.
The saying goes, never meet your heroes because you'll be disappointed. But apparently this was a hero success story.
Well, yeah.
So that's wonderful. And speaking of heroes, let's talk about the hero in your art. So you have all of these choices across 30 years, which is just nearly a lifetime of art pieces you've done, from small to large scale, and every type of impression of that art. I hate to say, it's like asking you to choose your favorite child.
Yeah.
But if you had to pick your favorite piece, or maybe even name a couple that really mean something to you, which ones would you choose?
Well, I don't know. That is a difficult question. And, as a maker, I consider most everything I do as an experiment. I often get focused on the failure, if that makes sense. I mean, it's really easy to make something you're just like, well, I wish this was just a little different. And as a maker, it's kind of an obsession. I love it when I make a piece for someone and they love it. And, it's a way I give back. And so, yeah, I mean, I also like it when, I give a lot of pieces away and, to various charities, and that's important to me.
Well, if shared appreciation is where you gain your joy, understand that you have a whole community and pretty much a whole world that appreciates your art. It is beautiful. It is very thoughtful and very, very skilled. And the fact that you can look at a big chunk of wood, basically a tree, and then see these beautiful things and then create them from your mind is truly a craft. And it speaks well to the arts, which I feel sometimes we lose in our world to tech things and things that are easier or instant. But you are doing this an old school way. I mean, this is a process for you.
I feel sometimes I feel kind of like a dinosaur.
But a good one.
Brad, I'm sure for a lot of people, the idea of being a full-time working artist can feel a little daunting, and they may have a dream of pursuing a passion in the arts, and then they're wondering, can I make a career out of this? Can I support myself? And I've talked to Jen Schenk, the Dean of the College of Fine Arts, about this, and we know that in the College of Fine Arts at Tennessee Tech, which includes the School of Art, Craft, and Design, 92% of their graduates are working in their field of study or enrolled in graduate school within 6 months of graduating. So we know that the success rate is really high, but I think it can still be a little intimidating for these students, and they're trying to consider both what their passions are and what they feel is practical. So what is your message to someone wondering how to follow their dreams in the arts and make a successful career for themselves the way that you have?
Well, one thing I tell, people that are starting in artwork is don't, and I've just sitting here and talked about being critical of my own work, but, give yourself a break, especially on the first 10 to 20 pieces, just make them and enjoy them. They don't have to be perfect. Just get comfortable making, and naturally, you're going to improve, and you'll, if you make one and you say, that's not it, I'm moving on,
So it's your origin story.
Right.
And I love that advice because, students can be very critical and they feel like they need to be
Absolutely.
perfect right out of the
Yes.
gate. So going back to your time at Tennessee Tech, we always ask each interview the same final question. How has Tennessee Tech impacted your life?
Well, I learned a lot at Tennessee Tech. I was there for 6 years to get a Bachelor of Science degree. And so, I love the professors and I love the opportunity to learn. I love what I was able to learn at the Appalachian Center for Craft. What a wonderful school, just right here in our backyard. There's not a better school for craft in the country.
True.
So just what a blessing that was to work with these professionals, and I've always made a point to support the university, and I'm really proud to say I'm a Tennessee Tech alumni.
Brad, thank you so much for sharing your story with us today and being our guest here on College Town
My
Talk.
pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
And for our listeners, be sure to check out Brad's latest work on Facebook at facebook.com/Brad Sells Wood Sculptor. And don't forget, you can catch up on previous episodes of this podcast at tntech.edu/College Town Talk.
And one more thing before we go. If you're enjoying our show and our interviews with these amazing guests, just like Brad, do us a favor and leave a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get this podcast. It all helps to spread the word about the great things happening right here in Cookeville.
We'll meet you back here again next week for more conversations with the people who make Cookeville, Tennessee's college town. College Town Talk is presented by Tennessee Tech University in partnership with the Cookeville-Putnam County Visitors Bureau. Your hosts are Jonathan Frank and Shan Stout, and original music is performed by Andrew Buckner. Visit us online at tntech.edu/College Town Talk.